Hi, this is Shelley Kraft. We're coming to you live on SNNLive. We're coming to you live from the SeeThruEquity Winter MicroCap Investor Conference right here in New York City 2015. I have with me Brian Collins of One Horizon Group, Inc. It's a public traded company, and the symbol is OHGI. Brian, welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you for having me on, Shelley. Pleasure.
It's good to have you. So let's get an overview of the company first, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. One Horizon Group is a software company I founded back in Switzerland, all the way back in 1999. We develop proprietary software for mobile operators predominantly, which is a voice over IP solution that we offer as a white label system to big operators globally, mainly in Southeast Asia at the moment. It's our biggest marketplace that we have today. And we're pushing more and more, with the uplisting and everything else into North American, Latin American markets, and hopefully Africa, India, and we're now in a great position in China, as you probably saw from the news yesterday.
So I'm going to ask you a question because you're not the first VoIP company and you're not going to be the last VoIP company. What's the secret sauce?
Well, our secret sauce in particular was the fact that we've built this system really from the ground up for mobile wireless communication. Voice over IP traditionally was built for Ethernet type communication, which is wired, fixed wired. Mobile phones, as we all know, suffer from congestion, dropped calls, and all these other things. So we invented a technology that allows the voice over IP to be of much higher quality, much lower bandwidth, and also much less consumption on the actual handset for your battery and so on. So you can talk for longer, better quality, but it has to be done from the ground up, and that's what we do. We're a software engineering company. We've engineered this solution from the ground up and delivered it as a turnkey package.
Interestingly enough, in the, let's call it the emerging growth capital countries in the world, they're not going to build pots. They're not going to have plain old telephone lines. They're not going to put the copper. They're not going to build big. It's all cellular. So how do you in satellite? I'm sure. So tell me how it works. How does a person in China talk to a person in Brooklyn, and how do they do it? What's the advantage of using your system? And part two of that question is, so how do you work with the carriers?
Sure. Well, from our side, the important thing for the operator is that you're going to be relevant in the smartphone of the user. So the user gets his smartphone, because they're all becoming smartphone aware these days. So when you get your phone, you have an app. If you now look at any new phone that you buy in any retail store here in New York City, there's no real relevance to the operator in the phone besides the SIM card. What we're trying to get the operators to do in Asia in particular is to make a relevant mobile app in there using the power of their brand to make these phone calls. So you now have intelligence, innovation in the handset, which reduces churn. It always does, because you're more interesting to the operator, and also allows you as a carrier to leverage the internet connection that you're dealing with. So your internet connection can come from 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, whatever. We're kind of agnostic. We're telling the operator, look, just get the internet and also give them the voice minute. So give them something useful into their handsets and let them make a phone call using innovative technologies with your brand and your stickiness. Remember, you Skype and Viber and all these brands are North American brands. They have no real relevance in Indonesia, India, China. They have no position there. What we're trying to do is get these operators to build their own brand with their communities, with their brand awareness that comes, and strength that comes, and also to leverage the infrastructure that they have. It's one thing to put up cell towers, Shelley, but you have to put them up to connect to something. Okay, they've got to eventually connect to some copper in order to call mom, dad, brother, sister, and so on, wherever you're going to call, that's what you need to be able to do. So that's what we give them. We give them mobility, stickiness, brand awareness, and a leveraging of their existing infrastructure to make and receive phone calls.
So let's talk about the China market, because what have you done in China that's significant, and why you, and who are you working with?
Sure, in China in particular, for us, it's about getting the mobile app in there, and it's our first true foray into B2C. So we're delivering this app directly to customers. It's funded from our recent capital raise, that we're putting a mobile app together in China. It's called iShuo. It's a bit of a pitch, Shelley. But you download the app, you can top up the app with credit, you can actually share credit amongst friends. It's like a bit like Bitcoin. You can actually have the concept of your own money. But the beauty of this system is the first of its kind in China, in that if the customer allows you, or the user wants to, you can actually sponsor their phone call. So your website can go ahead and sponsor this customer by just pitching them a 20-second ad that they listen to before the call is made. If they sit through the ad, the call goes through and you have sponsored it for them. So we think that's going to be very innovative, very new in China, which will allow the advertisers to sponsor the users and have a bit more interest and fun, if you like, for these users of smartphones. Smartphone users, I often say, is if you've got to hold a smartphone out here, it's really not for you. Okay, it's for young people. All right, it's really that's the key. Usability is all about the fact that you can get this innovation and fun and excitement into the handset, which means the app will be used by people, and it's the best call quality they can have. And guess what? It's free.
I'm going to ask you a very important question, in my opinion. I want to talk about marketing. Marketing. How, for instance, do you get the sponsors that you want to give an opportunity to advertise before the user makes the call? And if they listen to the message, then the call is paid for. Well, that's brilliant. It's great. How do you execute?
Sure. For us, the key advertisers to begin with will be operators themselves. Okay, we partner with operators in China, throughout China. Operators, like TV companies, love talking about themselves. First thing they want to advertise is themselves. Buy our SIM, top up with our 4G data plan, do this, do that. That's what they want to pitch to. The next big thing in China from a marketing perspective is the mobile app stores themselves. It's incredibly big business there. It's very different to outside of China, where you have basically Google Play and iTunes. You don't have any of those systems in China. They don't exist in China. So you have 200 app stores vying for business. So what we say to the app stores, take our app and we'll advertise your app store on our app. A bit more stickiness, a bit more interest. And what app stores like to do is say, come to our app store, download our apps, use our innovative technologies, work with us. So you get a bit more stickiness for the app stores. That's what they're after. And these app store owners are probably the biggest names that we know here on Wall Street, which would be Baidu, Tencent, Alibaba. These are the guys who really want to get their names out there and be the leader in the App Store business. And they will advertise with us. This is the key with us. And then after that, Shelley, comes the next advertisers, whether it's car companies, whether it's food, beverage outlets, it could be anything. It could be websites like Stock Gurus and so on. You know, it's all sorts of things you can advertise from there on in. But the key initial traction for me, I believe, is going to be the mobile operators themselves and the telephone operators telling you about their packages, telling you why you should have their SIM, and then also the app stores.
So I'm trying to pick up your language, and I'm going like, okay, the company started in Switzerland. You're in China, and you speak like you're from Ireland. So what the heck? What's your background?
Sure. Well, I'm Irish from my accent, for anybody who's there. I'm sure there's a few people around me here nodding. So I went to Switzerland back in '96 with my wife, who's also Irish. So we have been there since then. I'd lived here in the States for a few years and built the company there. My real background from a technical point of view is program trading, building algorithmic trading systems, which are now all the rage on Wall Street. But when we were building them, people didn't like us very much. We were squeezing the spreads. We weren't the most popular people in banking circles.
You were just Mr. In-Between, that's all.
That's all, we were only facilitating. It's a technology thing. What you do is you leverage technology. That's what we do best. And we do it really from ourselves. We build it all in-house. When the product works, we take all the credit. When the product fails, we take all the blame. We own it from start to finish. And this is very important for us because we don't use other people's software. We don't use the open source community, which is a great community, but we don't use their software. We have engineers, scientists, and so on that work for us who went to university for 4, 6, 10 years. Why would they use other people's software? So we build it ourselves in-house and we deliver it, and our customers love the fact that we can do this end-to-end as a solution, that if they say, look, we need another bit of innovation, or could you change this, or what about that, that's what we do together. We work, and these relationships with operators are 5-year deals as a minimum, Shelley. They don't go in for 12 months because they move slowly. And when you're adopted into their technology inner circle, then it's a great place to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a website for more information. I understand.
Sure, it's www.onehorizongroup.com.
So I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive. This is Brian Collins, One Horizon Group, Inc. The publicly traded company symbol is OHGI. We're at the SeeThruEquity Winter MicroCap Conference in New York City, 2015. Brian?
Thank you, Shelley.
Call me sometime, will you?
My pleasure.